Hello everyone and welcome back for another yin and yang series. For November, this will be our yang practice. We are transitioning into cold and dark. So our yoga practices should be bright and warm. I will start with our tea for the month. I'm gonna go with one of my favorites. We don't actually need a tea bag, although you may like a bag of green tea to go with this one. Lemon juice and a crack of black pepper. If you're feeling adventurous, cayenne pepper, and a spoonful of honey. We have this kind of sweet and spicy mix. I love it. It's not for the timid among us. So green tea if you like it. Honey goes well, lemon usually goes over quite nicely. And then it's the black pepper and the cayenne that some people are like, ooh, I don't know about that. You can use ginger is another one to give it a little kick, to give us some spice in our tea choice for this month. And I'm gonna say I push you to find a beautiful mug. This was my birthday gift to myself. It matches my yoga mat and most of my furniture. So it gives me like a little bit of a pep when the winter months come to enjoy things, to add a little bit of sweetness to each day when it is otherwise kind of dark and blech. All right, I'm gonna go with Thieves oil blend for our essential oils this month. This is a mix that I made. I was trying to use up some essential oils that I'd bought and I discovered Thieves oil. I love the backstory for Thieves oil. Legend has it that grave robbers used it on their hands so that they wouldn't get the plague. So if it was good enough for them, I say it's good enough for us. I love some of the ingredients are lemon, rosemary, and clove. I'll drop a recipe below that you can make your own Thieves oil blend. You can buy it pre-mixed, but then you can also kind of play with the ratios for yourself at home. If you want to make it more lemony or less lemony, maybe add more rosemary, less rosemary, whatever it may be. And you can have your own Thieves blend to add to the diffuser to give this like spicy and bright mix. Keeping in mind that it's often just as effective to put a drop on a cotton ball, a tissue, a clothes peg, or something else just to keep near you if you're sitting at your desk during the day. Honestly, a drop will do you. That's all you need. Thieves oil blend for this month. You may also like a chair. We will be doing some balance work as we go into the cold and slippery months. It is important to have our balance ready to go, and we'll be doing some more challenging balance poses. So I would say lean on the chair, because if we're just using our bodies to balance, then we might not be able to push our range of motion. We'll be doing some stuff for lymphatic benefit. So we have to really be able to move our legs, and the chair adds added support that we might not need when we're doing our standard balance poses, but when we're really going for it with our challenging balance poses today, the chair will let us be a lot more adventurous with that. What else can I say? Oh yes, okay. So in terms of Ayurveda and traditional Chinese medicine, a lot of what happens in the winter is that we get cold and closed in. And this is our grief line in terms of the meridians. In yoga, it's the element of air, and grief and worry often go together. So we are transitioning into a very melancholic season. So we'll do some work to open up through here and to breathe deeply, but we'll also do a meditation that I find is quite lovely for grief. And I think that there's not a lot of work in this world to help us process grief. At some point in every life, a little rain must fall, and then we're kind of at odds with how to work with our own sense of mourning. And I think Ho'oponopono is a great way to work through that as things may be weighing on our minds, and help us to transition from the wonderful, sunny, happy seasons into, instead of seeing it as a sad season, maybe seeing it as a time of rest and renewal. All right, You might also want blocks. We'll be doing some twisting lunges. So you can have your blocks and your chair, anything else you need to keep you comfortable. And we will begin standing in mountain pose. Standing tall, crown of the head reaching up to the clouds, toes spread, pressing into the earth, reaching fingertips down. Let's give those shoulders a roll, turning palms forward. And my intention with this practice is to give us a boost during the day to warm up. You know, when you sit around and you get cold, your energy dips, you're really uninspired. I want to warm us up. So let's stand tall, checking in with how we're feeling, noticing our own energy level now. Seeing if you're feeling fantastic, let's work with that energy. And if you're feeling more towards our crummy emotions, we can work with that energy, being compassionate towards ourselves. And we may like to close our eyes and tune into our ujjayi breath or resistance breathing, making a little bit of noise with our breath. So let's just double check that our shoulders and neck are relaxed. We're breathing fully through the nose if we can. I know that stuffiness is an issue as we move through the winter. And this is our ujjayi breath, so we gently tighten our internal throat muscles so that we can hear our own breath like an ocean wave. So if you've done this before, please do your regular ujjayi breathing. And if you haven't, often it's said to breathe in like we're surprised, right? Makes a little bit noise. And then to breathe out like we're fogging up a mirror. And then do the same thing with the mouth closed. And then to smooth it out, make it more gentle. Our ujjayi breath really is quite subtle. So if you were just testing that out, fogging up a mirror and inhaling like you're surprised, let's tune it down to 30% effort, very gentle. So this is a warming style of breath. And we can add on. Let's take our hands to our bellies and we'll breathe a little bit more fiery here. With our inhale, feeling our rib cage fully expand. And with our exhale, drawing our abdominal muscles in to push the air out. So maybe do it one really strong one if you're unfamiliar with this. And then once we feel those muscles working, the same as we're doing with our ujjayi breath, turn it down to about 30%. So we still have a full inhalation, and then with our exhalation, strong through the belly. Checking in head to toe, making sure we're not holding any unnecessary tension. So we're isolating our power in our core and a little bit in the throat. As much as we can, we're going to hold on to our abdominal strength and our ujjayi breath as we move. If our eyes are closed, let's go ahead and open them. So we'll keep this style of breathing through most of our poses. Let's add our circle sweeps here just to wake ourselves up. Inhaling up, exhaling down, and then we're probably noticing as we reach up, our ribs expand more, which is fantastic because our abs are drawn in. And if we forget about our abs or our ujjayi breath at any point, it's okay, we will survive. We're not gonna break ourselves. And let's use that moment where we remember that we've forgotten. Let's see success in that. Oh yeah, I'm remembering. And then we can add it back in at that point. All right, let's leave this here and we're gonna do some different movements and probably we'll lose our breath practice, but we'll come right back to it, okay? So it's okay, we're gonna let it go and then come back to it. Let it go and then come back to it. It's a good practice. Let's bounce our shoulders. So we'll get into some lymphatic work today. And often we start our lymphatics in the upper body with the collarbones, or maybe in the underarms, something like that. It's just conventional. It's sometimes referred to as the first clog in the drain is the collarbone. And like many things, if it's just easiest to remember to start in a certain spot, start there. Doing something is better than nothing. So if you remember to start somewhere else, it's okay. It's okay, as long as we're remembering. Okay, so we've let our shoulders bounce, let's let our heels drop. If we're able to coordinate both together, go for it. If it's tricky for you, we're just gonna do our heel drops. And I'll show us from the side, 2 different ways we can do our heel drops. Some people prefer a real thud, top to bottom, and then some people prefer a more gentle bounce. Any kind of vibration, like if you've seen those vibration plates that people stand on, fantastic for our lymphatic system. I like to say our lymphatic system is not a self-starter. I think of that classic stereotype of a sleepy teenager. That's our lymphatic system. We kind of got to shake them out of bed and be like, come on. And then once they're going, right? Our lymphatic system, we get it started and then it does its thing. Okay, percussion, one of my favorites, a very soft fist. We can take it just underneath the collarbone and down the arm. I'm gonna try not to make too much noise just because the microphone picks it up. So, and I would be whacking on my microphone. So for you, gentle, light to moderate pressure. We're not really like banging on ourselves. Under the collarbone, across the chest, down the arm, and back up again. And let's not take it too seriously. There's sort of like a silly, light bounciness to this, right? As we go down the arm and then back up. Some people like to do one big one, like a gorilla, this like, huh, in the chest. And then other people prefer more to bang on their chest like Tarzan, if you would like either one of those. And then let's roll the shoulders out. Big breath in and out. And let's do that one more time. We'll go down the length of each arm. And then yogi's choice if we want to do a big thump or pound on the chest. Again, the microphone picks it up. I'm going to be banging the microphone, so I'm just going to fake it and you can do it. Let's roll those shoulders out. Big breath in and release. And then probably my favorite one is to do percussion down the legs. Depending on our mobility, you may be able to get quite far down, and usually we don't bang right on the bone, but the muscle beside it is a good place to go. So you can do this one seated, obviously, right? We can see there's where this would translate really nicely to a seated practice during the day. If you're kind of like sitting, often we're sitting in front of our computers or our phones and we get cold because we're not moving, we can just get right into some percussion. Notice for yourself, are you warming up now? Do you feel it working? All right, wherever we are with our percussion, let's come back up to standing. And again, we'll reset. Inhale and exhale. Let the shoulders fall heavy. Okay. We're gonna add on to our really fiery breath. So if we like, up to you, we'll continue with this breath that we've already been doing, our ujjayi in the throat. So we can hear our breath as a gentle wheeze in our ears. And then drawing the abdominals in on the exhale. And the next one I'm cautious to do, just because I know it sometimes gives people pressure in the head and there are contraindications. But if we like, we can do a variation of breath of fire. It's not good if you just ate a meal. It's not good for like glaucoma and headache and anything where pressure is contraindicated. All that being said, listen to your body. If it feels good, do it. And if not, we'll just do our regular breathing that we already started with. Okay, so we can take our hands to our thighs like this, if we're comfortable in this kind of position. Again, we could stand up tall and do it like that. We will inhale normally, and then we're gonna exhale in short puffs. Let's go 10 times, like this. And that's our variation of breath of fire for today. Join me, let's do it 2 more times. Here we go. Big breath in, 10 puffs. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stand tall, big breath in. Last time. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, we can shake it off. So if you love that one, feel free to add it to your routine. I went a little cautious today. We're supposed to do 10 plus puffs out, up to 25 usually they say. So if you love that one, start to stretch it out to 25 puffs of air. Otherwise, we can keep it at the 10, but for now, we're gonna open to the long edge of our mat. Let's do our usual sun and moon. Inhaling up, elbows bending, knees bending together. And we'll come to a more balanced breath. So noticing how that breath of fire worked for you. If you're feeling dizzy or something uncomfortable, hey, we got our chair, we can take a seat. And if you loved it, you could feel the fire start from the inside out. That would be a great thing to add to your routine when you're feeling cold and uninspired, especially in the morning or if you've been sitting around for a while. Noticing how we feel and then responding accordingly. Let's turn this into our sun flow. We're gonna draw a big circle with the fingertips, hinging forward as we're bending down. Okay, let's pause either at the top for less work or at the bottom for a lot more work. We'll do some work for our shoulder mobility. So we'll start our hands just out to T. Coordination can also kind of make us hot in the face as we think really, really hard. So this one is good for that. We'll do one palm up, one palm down, and switch. So anything that is working, shoulder girdle, will again help our lymphatic system because we have all these lymph nodes in and around the collarbone and the underarms. If we want to add on, we can start to rotate the arms as we stretch side to side. So if we don't do like a lot of work, then we can do this in quite a low, challenging plie position. And if we like less work, we can still do it, but standing up or seated. And we'll probably notice at some point our arms start to burn. Just holding the weight of our arms can get quite heavy. And then let's check in with our shoulders. Are we shrugging our shoulders up to our ears, or can we drop our shoulder blades down into our back pockets? Okay, let's come into a more neutral position. We'll rest our arms. We can turn our toes forward. Let's interlace our hands in behind if we can reach. And if we can't reach, holding on to whatever else is back there, maybe our shirts or something like that. Engaging and reaching back. If we have a chair, another fantastic variation of our chest expansion is to hold the back of the chair and then draw the chest forward as we squeeze our shoulder blades back. So often when we think about yoga and seated workouts, we think about them being just in the chair. Actually, it's great to get up and stand in behind the chair. If we have our chair, we can do a variation of our down dog with the chair, stepping back, putting our bodies into sort of a number 7 position. And if we don't have a chair, we're leaning forward here and we can use the floor or a block. Pausing. Taking a little break here, and then we will get right back into our work. So whether we're on our chair or on our floor, we can start to come back up to a standing position. Walking our feet together, and let's go ahead and make our way to the top of the mat. We'll do flight of the bird, as we so often do, but I'll show us how to make it spicy. We can take our hands maybe to hips or heart center. We can hold our hands out to help with our balance, and we're gonna alternate a short step back, sort of like our warrior 1 or a kind of Tai Chi stance. Stepping back and then forward. So let's get those ankles ready. We'll do some ankle mobility today. Again, something that gets just really forgotten and frozen over in the winter is our ankle mobility. We wear these heavy boots and our ankles don't get to move. So we're working some ankle stretches and mobility today. Okay, we can fly our bird wings. We can add rotation. So it might be a little funky for our coordination. I'll go with us. So let's go ahead and step the left foot back. Whichever foot you're on, let's step the left foot back. We've got our right foot in front. We're gonna turn and twist towards the front leg, using our abs and an exhale. And then we'll come back through center and step to the top of the mat. Okay, so if we are stepping the right foot back, we're turning towards the left leg. So we're closing the body. We're making it tight. Use our abs and the back muscles to pull us into the twist. And then we step up to the top. I'm gonna keep on adding so we can still open out into our regular flight of the bird. And then we're taking left hand across to right thigh for a twist. Coming back to the top and then stepping forward. So alternating our step back, rotating, and stepping up to the top. I hope we are starting to feel warm. One more option, if we really like to get into our twists, is to add hand to our block, getting much lower. So I don't know what kind of routine you normally have. If you do a ton of sun salutations, then this one will be easy to add to your routine. If you've never done this before, then we could keep it in our smaller range of motion, right? So I'll do a few more somewhere in the middle so that I'm working probably with most of you. But knowing that we can dial it up or dial it down as needed. Okay, we'll check in with our abs, check in with our breath. We'll go once more each way. And then let's come back up to the top of our mats, meeting together. We'll do a little tapping here along the collarbones. So if we're familiar with tapping or emotional freedom technique, we repeat affirmations as we tap on certain acupressure points. And I like to do it as athletic recovery. So we just did something sort of tough and heat building. So we're gonna tap along our collarbones. And our affirmation may be so simple as, I am strong. And you can change the words for yourself. We can be saying, I am strong, or I am hot. I have an internal fire that cannot be put out. Whatever words we like, say it to yourself 3 times here. We can be tapping in, out, or across. And then we'll let this go. Let's give it a shake. And we'll move into our balance work. So if we do have a block, we can put it off to the side. Might like to come back to it later, but for now, it's probably just gonna be in our way. My recommendation for our balance work is to go to the side of the chair. So we have hip to chair, our foot on the ground, on the floor, and our hand on the chair are gonna be the same side of the body, so that we have one side of the body that's free, and then one side that is balanced and grounded. Let's start with hip circles. So we'll take our knee up and around. So as we're moving into winter, or in yoga we call it the Vata season, our qualities are dry and cold, which means that our joints feel stiffer than usual. And we need to bring the element of water and fire in. So we get our bodies physically warm, we get our blood pumping, and then the element of water, any kind of flowing watery movement is perfect to bring in here. So we're doing that here as we are immobilizing. And then we're thinking lymphatic system. We have lymph nodes in the back of the knee. We'll get in there in just a moment. But let's hold open in our tree pose. We've probably seen tree pose before. Reestablishing our fullest height. If we've been starting to grip the chair, we're standing tall again. If we don't need the chair, let's pause for a moment here. We'll let this go. And then it's up to you, depending on your balance. We can stay hip to chair, or we can turn both hands to the chair. We're gonna pump our one leg that we were just working on, bending and straightening. And I find this is maybe the tightest spot on my students' bodies when I work with them. People are very tight in here, and then the act of bending the knee often gives that muscle spasm in the back of the leg. So again, let's think the element of water. We're flowing in and flowing out instead of just like snapping back and forth. Instead of a rusty hinge in our knee, we're gonna get that oil can out, we're gonna lubricate our joint, go back and forth. The choice is yours. We can keep flowing, or if we love a quad stretch, we can aim for our pant leg, our ankle, maybe holding the back of the shoe. That's one of the nicest ones. So many shoes have handles in the back of them these days. I think, oh, that's perfect. How did we live so long without this? Whatever option we have, let's take a full breath in, a long breath out. We can use our core and our ujjayi. We're coming back down. And now our standing leg has been here for quite a while. Let's do some ankle circles, loosen it up. Point and flex, wiggle our toes. And we're ready to switch sides. So I'm gonna pick my chair up and move it. Let's have this make sense for you at home, but just be careful that the chair is sturdy and secure on the floor. So it works quite well on the yoga mat. If you want to turn away from me just so you don't have to pick your furniture up, that is fine. We're sturdy on one side and we are free on the other side. So we're bringing fire and water into our cold, dry winter evening or morning or whatever it is for you. You may even like to throw this in during what you feel is your stiffest time of day to bring some warmth in. So if you're stiff when you wake up, it'd be a nice time to do some circular movements of the joints. Or a lot of people find they're stiff after they've been sitting for a while. This kind of movement can actually be great after lunch. If you've been sitting, working, and then you sit to eat, doing some circular movements can help to bring our body temperature up and help us to digest without being so much movement that it really gives us indigestion or makes us feel like lunch is gonna be a repeat. All right, tree pose, we are pausing. If we would like, taking our hands away from the chair. And actually another fun one that we can do is closing one eye at a time. You know, I'm thinking as we're moving into the winter, when do people often slip on the ice? Often in the dark, right? So practicing our balance without all of our senses is a very advanced practice. Okay, keep it safe out there, people. Oh yeah, our pumping, I almost forgot. Like a flamingo, we're taking our leg, bending and straightening. Gentle, flowing, lubricating. I always think of the Tin Woodsman, getting that oil can going in the joint. You can face me or face the chair. If we wanted to work on our balance a bit more, we can have our hand out, only one hand on the chair, just helping us out. So if we tend to get fluid retention from sitting, this is another one, and we'll put our legs up in just a moment. Okay, we can hold, or we can do our quad stretch. You can keep flowing if you find that works best for you. And then if you're like me, I find that it feels like my feet start to swell up from standing in one spot for too long. So we are gonna take it down to the mat, and we can actually put our feet up on the chair or do legs up a wall to finish off. Just so you know where we're going, if you feel the feet are a little bit cranky, we're gonna give them a treat in a moment. We'll come back to standing. Let's circle the ankle. Point flex. We can move our chair out of the way. Think about where we want to put it. If we're going to do legs up the wall on the chair, so I'm going to lie down and my feet are going to go up here, we can actually put the chair down where your feet are going to go in just a moment. And then if we like, we can use our chair to help us get down to the mat. Take it easy with our balance. We'll move into child's pose here. And again, we can use the chair to help us out. Sort of like we did a standing variation of down dog. It can be quite demanding of our shoulder mobility, but since we don't have our full body weight on our arms, even though we can get them into a big range of motion, it may be not quite so demanding because we don't have so much pressure on them and we don't have to go down all the way. We can come out to get a moment of pause. And if we have lots of range of motion and mobility, of course, we can just keep going. When we're ready, coming to a seated position. And we might want to shake the legs out at any point. And then we'll sit comfortably when we're ready. Sitting up tall, reestablishing our base and our posture. And we'll do some side to side movement or lateral flexion. Normally we alternate side to side. For today, we're gonna stay on one side because we're still thinking neck, lymphatic, and decongestion. So we can pick one side and we'll flow like this. Our opposite hand can be down for support, remembering we're still open through our collarbones. Long collarbones, wide posture, sitting up tall, whatever words make sense for us. Okay, so one arm comes up. In this case, it's our right. We're reaching long as we inhale. And then with our exhale, we come into lateral flexion, taking ear to shoulder. And that's our pattern. Inhaling, we're reaching. And exhaling, neck stretch. And of course, you can play with it with the breath. You can go more slowly or stay longer in any spots that are tighter. We can take the head straight to the side, or our nose can point to our underarm. If we're noticing that our head is jutting forward, we're drawing it back, smoothing out the back of the neck. Last one here. We can release and we're coming back through center. For fun, let's notice how we feel stretched on one side but not on the other. And then we'll see if we can make it match. Hand down for support, still broad. Instead of collapsing into our support, we're tall. We're inhaling and reaching. Exhaling ear to shoulder. And it usually happens that one side is much stiffer than the other. And if we find ourselves getting into the game of comparison, you know, oh, why can't both sides be my good side? We observe the thought, we're noticing that we wish things were different than they are. And let's see if we can create space to allow them to be as they are. I'm noticing that this is my tight side. I'm observing some tightness or some looseness. With each breath, I'm doing good for my body. Let's give it one more. Do we feel balanced? You may notice that one side, like I feel I'm still tight on this side. We could do a couple extra reps on our tight side. And if we're not perfect, that's okay. We weren't made to be perfect, we were made to be interesting. We'll come back through center. I hope we're feeling more limber. we're ready to put our feet up. So we can use our chair or a wall, whatever's going on for you at home. In many ways, the chair is an easier setup. The trickiest part of legs up the wall is getting our bums up to the chair. I'll show us lots of different options. Maybe you have no chair. So if we have a chair, we come into a side lying position. We kind of try to estimate that our calves will land on the chair, scooching our bums back to the chair. And if we're in a good, comfortable position, fantastic. It's kind of nice to have the hole in the back of the chair like I do. If you have really long legs, you may actually be tucking your feet through the hole and out the back of the chair. I have very short legs, so not a problem I've ever had, but you may have that problem. We could also put a cushion in the back of the chair so the legs are on a bit more of an angle to help drain the soles of the feet from the soles of the feet to help drain the calves. If we have no chair, we're just gonna pretend. So we lie on our side and then we bring our legs up and we can just kind of hold and support our legs here. So this one is a bit more tricky for blood pressure issues to have the legs straight up, but can feel fantastic. And then the tricky one that we have to do this awkward shimmy is if you are doing it against a wall, you gotta scoot yourself right up until your bum is touching the wall, and then we use our abs to bring our legs up. So we have lots of options. We could even be just lying on our backs. Even being flat, gravity will help drain from the soles of our feet up into the top of the legs and coming back to the top of the body. So that may mean that that fluid that has accumulated will come and be processed, and then you may need to pee more often after this one, which is fantastic before bed. So, okay, lots of options. I'm gonna sit up so I can lead us through our final meditation. All right, so staying exactly where you are if it is comfortable, and if it's not, adjusting as necessary. You can do a full breath in and a long breath out. If we're still holding lots of tension in our throats or our bellies, we can release it here. Let the breath be more gentle. Drawing our awareness to anywhere in the body that feels particularly warm. So this may be a flush in our cheeks. Maybe we feel beads of sweat on our forehead. Maybe feeling warm through our core or our feet. And let's remember the warmth of summer. Thinking about something in the recent warmer months that you're really happy to look back on, something you appreciate. Thinking about the cooler months ahead, something you're really looking forward to. And bringing our minds into the present moment, something you appreciate right here, right now. And this may be a useful time to create space for something that we really miss as the days get colder, something that's hard for us to say goodbye and let go of, something we wish were different than it is. And it maybe seems counterintuitive, but creating space for difficult emotions is a way to take the sting out of them, actually much better than pushing them away and wishing things were different. So if you spent hot summer days at the beach or by the pool or with a frozen drink in your hand, and you are grieving the end of summer or those long days, creating space here to say to ourselves, I notice that I'm not a fan of that. And taking some of the effort out of it, that we don't need to fix it, change it, or push it away. We use this time to observe how we feel and offer ourselves some compassion around that feeling. And it's often said that we suffer twice as we look forward to the winter. There's probably something that we are dreading, and we are bringing it to mind and suffering once now by saying to ourselves, oh, it's going to be so cold, it's going to be so dark. And then we suffer the second time when it actually happens. So let's just for a moment bring into our minds what we're not looking forward to this winter. Again, we create space. We say, okay, I'm noticing, I'm aware, I'm observing, I'm able to perceive all these feelings and emotions in myself. To help take the sting out, we can say to ourselves, I don't want to suffer twice. I know it's coming, I am aware, and then a great cure is actually just to bring ourselves back into the present, to notice reality around us. So we can bring our awareness to the collarbones, the muscles at the top of the chest, just under our collarbones, out to the shoulders and up into the neck. Noticing movement of breath in the area all around our collarbones. And we may be sensing movement or energy down the length of each arm, out to the fingertips. Bringing our awareness to the feeling of the tongue on the roof of the mouth. And noticing everywhere that our bodies are making contact with the surface beneath us. So if we are lying down, noticing the back of the head, upper back and shoulders supported by the earth below. Our backs, our trunks, our torso, and then whatever parts of the lower body are resting on something. So maybe just the heels or the back of the legs as well. With our inhale, we can bring awareness to our collarbones, sending energy down the arms, feeling light and bright, pulling energy in. And with our exhale, feeling that we can rest more heavily into the surface beneath us. Inhaling light and exhaling heavy. Feel free to stay in this space for as long as it serves you. I will leave just some extra time with music at the end, but our official time together is up. Thank you so much for choosing to spend this time here with me today. From my light to yours, namaste.